A good editor must have some sense of how to tell a story, um, and that involves a sense of rhythm. And it's a little bit like telling a good joke. If the joke is could be the joke could be a great joke, but if you tell it with the wrong rhythm, it falls flat. So there's an inbuilt um, relationship between the story itself and how to tell a story and the rhythm with which you tell it. And editing is certainly 70% about rhythm and what you are showing and the rate at which you show it. And it's very hard to teach this. You in a sense it's like dance. You can explain the rudiments of dance, but to really learn how to dance, you have to dance. You just have to get out there and do it. And you feel awkward at the beginning, naturally, but then you gradually figure out, well, I'll put my foot here, and then I do this little thing, and then that gets me over there. And editing is very similar to dance in that way, in the sense that you can think of the architecture of a film as a kind of frozen dance. And what we do in assembling the film for the first time and then refining it is gradually improving the basic structure and then the finer details of those rhythms. The assistant is somebody ideally who is very well balanced between let's call it the decimal points and the big picture. It's very easy to get lost in the decimal points, the fine things, but if you're not aware of the larger picture of what does the story need, what does the editor need, what's the mood of things today on a kind of human level, the assistant has to be tuned into that, but not get so fascinated with that they lose touch with getting all of the zeros in order. There's a lot of number crunching now, especially with digital work. It can get very inhuman at times, and you have to balance that with the human aspects of it. One of the big shifts that's happened recently is obviously digital cameras that capture the image digitally, but also the the digital chip that is recording these is getting bigger and bigger. And so we're dealing with image density, pixel density that's huge compared to what it was even 5 years ago, or certainly 10 years ago. What this allows us to do editorially is recompose the image within the frame. And it's very useful in a documentary, because when you're shooting a documentary, you don't know where this particular moment is going to go in the film, how it's going to integrate, and so there may be things within the frame that ultimately will not fit within the story. And so the ability to recompose, to enlarge the frame and omit something that is now incorrect, perhaps a character who has disappeared from the film is in this shot. Well, we can just eliminate that character by narrowing the field. And we used to not be able to do that so freely, because A, it was expensive, and B, even if you could do it, the grain structure of film was such that it now you knew something had happened to this shot. Whereas with digital film, it's not clear that that's the case. So we can, in a sense, photograph the film a second time in the editing by recomposing within the frame. In a sense, if you think of normal editing as horizontal, one shot after the other, like a row of cars in a train, this kind of editing I'm talking about is vertical editing, where you're editing within the frame and choosing to see or not see certain things in the original photography. Well, I think the best thing you can do as an editor who is trying to learn how to edit is to edit. And in that sense, people today are in a much better position than we were 50 years ago. Because then film was very expensive and the machines on which we could edit film were very expensive. And it was just hard to find the time and the resources to get your hands on the stuff. Now, the internet is just overloaded with material that you can download, or you can shoot it yourself on a point-and-shoot camera, and you can get free editing software that allows you to edit and do very complicated things with sound that we could not dream of. And so it's as I was saying earlier, the thing about learning how to dance is to dance, to actually do it, and that's true in this case. Obviously, look at as many films as you can and see how it has been done, and then forge your own path, because you will discover your own way of putting these things together. This is a very new art in human experience. It's barely 100 years old, whereas all the other arts, their origins are lost in prehistory. And so we individually and we culturally are discovering how to do this, and there's lots more to discover.